So I've got the copper SX4 back in the garage here, guys. This is my boy's car now. He's been driving it for, oh, I don't know, a week or two. All good with the clutch and stuff. Everything's good. Just a minor issue. It had a belt squeak that I didn't like. It was bothering me on the front end of the Serpentine belt. Like I could hear some bearing noise. Anyway, last week I actually changed the idler pulley. There's videos on the channel, guys, if you want to go see that. I'm not making that another one on that, but it was still making a bit of a racket. And I don't know if I can show you this one-handed. This is the tensioner, of course, and I'll maybe film this separately, but I'm gonna need two hands to spin that. This bearing is on its way out, so yeah, so it needs a new tensioner. So I bought an aftermarket tensioner, and I was going to fit the whole assembly, and I did in fact fit the whole assembly, and then put it all back together. It was sounding great, nice and quiet, for about 10 minutes, and then as things started to heat up, let me take you underneath and I'll show you what the story is with this. Be aware of aftermarket parts, guys. They're I don't need to tell you guys that are likely watching this. You need to watch it and be careful. This could have caused a lot of grief. Let me show you. Okay, let me show you here, guys. This is the new tensioner in place. I've removed the pulley, of course. Can you see the scoring there on the timing chain cover? This is physically not the same size. There's no clearance between the pulley and the timing chain cover there once the pulley is actually fitted. Can you see the scoring? And when I was listening, I'm watching it, and it's making metal. I could see tiny little flecks actually coming off, and then it was apparent that it must be touching the timing chain cover, right? But left unchecked, that's going to be a big problem, yeah? So I'm going to remove this and take some measurements. Physically, this is not the same size. Can you see here? There's two rings. One is the outer ring of the pulley itself, that when a wee bit of heat got into the engine, and I assume the timing chain cover expanded just that wee bit, that it started to contact. Initially, there was no contact. But when I swung it down in order to fit the new belt, of course, you can see there's a score mark there. I couldn't feel that when I was swinging it down, because you're swinging it down against the tension of the spring, of course, right? I guess it's like a coil or hairspring inside the assembly itself. You can't feel that, but there's no clearance between the tensioner assembly and the timing chain cover. So that is that's no good. That's NFG, man. So I guess there's two ways to deal with this. I'm going to put the old tensioner back because there's nothing actually wrong with it. The issue is actually with the bearing on the pulley. I'm going to put the old tensioner back to remedy this. I guess if the tensioner was in fact the issue, you could possibly shim this with a couple of washers from the backside on the two bolts, the two mounting bolts. But yeah, I don't like that. I'd rather put the old tensioner back. So anyway, be aware, as you can see the scoring there. That's not good. And as I said, guys, it was fine. There was enough clearance there. I could spin the pulley when the engine was cold. I could spin the pulley, of course, which I did when everything was installed. But I could tell there was very little clearance, and I thought, oh, that looks pretty tight. And sure enough, it's too tight, as you can see. Once the engine warms up and it closes the gap, yeah, that's no good at all. Well, this is actually my own fault for not checking shit before I install it, especially when you know it's a cheap aftermarket part. So look at the difference. Yeah, that's a huge difference in fitment, right? Yeah, no wonder it's causing grief. Let me get the right look. There you go. That's a big difference. And I should have known something was up, because I had a hell of a time getting this one out. It's a tight fit. This one slipped in without an issue. Sometimes you get lucky like that, right? But it was a wee bit too easy. And look at the difference. So those few millimeters there make a huge difference when it comes to removing or installing this thing, because it's so tight. It's a square peg in a round hole, you know. Yeah, this is no good. I'll show you the Amazon advertisement for the manufacturer, because this is grief waiting to happen. So that's it all back together, guys. The old tensioner, but with a new pulley. Sounds nice and quiet. I'm happy with that. So yeah, so be careful with this. Clearly this is physically a different size. There's the casting number on it. I don't know if that means anything or not, but that's the only number. Swap this over. We're good to go. So this is just a wee bit of context for why there's so much rust in Southern Ontario cars. That's all salt, right? Now if we don't put the salt on the roads, people die. So it's an easy decision. That's it, boys. Cheers.